Dear Hollywood, stop preying on my nostalgia. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one, so if you guys happen to like that, or you just love my gorgeous face, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I post, which happens to be on Mondays and on Fridays. How are we doing? Personally, I'm doing great, and I don't know about you, but I'm honestly so tired of seeing reboots of movies that I loved when I was little and TV shows that I loved watching when I was younger, and seeing them get utterly butchered because film studios can't think of something original. Also, to clarify, I'm not going to complain about Winx Club in this video. One, because I haven't watched it yet, and two, I just know it's going to be bad, so I'm not even going to waste my time. But in 2021, I want you to go and look all of the reboots that are currently in production or are said to be released in 2021. I'm going to read you some of the ones that at least I recognized, which are Saved by the Bell, Daria, Ren and Stimpy, Grease, but adds a TV show, Battlestar Galactica, Gossip Girl, Clueless as a TV show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Queer as Folk, and the Boondocks. There's obviously more, but those are just the ones on that list that I recognize. I will link it in the description as I do for all of my sources. But side note, hi HBO, I'm an aspiring actress, and if you want someone to voice a character in Boondocks, I will gladly do that. Either way, regardless, I just can't stand when Hollywood recreates, movies and stuff like that from the past. It is very, very frustrating. And I'm going to get into the difference between reboots, sequels, and prequels, because I feel like you might be like, oh, I liked Shrek 2. Well, Shrek 2 isn't a reboot, it is a sequel. So I'm going to get into the differences between the two. So a sequel is a work, anything that is a continuation of a story. So like, for instance, there's Shrek, and then there's Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, Shrek Forever After. Is there one more? I don't know. Or there's Home Alone, and then there's Home Alone 2, which is a continuation of the story. So then a prequel would be a piece of media, a movie, TV show, books as well apply to this, that take place before the original story takes place. So for instance, Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters Inc. Plot holes and all. It is still a prequel. It takes place before the original show, movie, etc. So then this leads us to reboots, the topic of this video. And reboots is essentially discarding continuity and instead decides to reset almost, or restart a universe. It doesn't also have to just be restarting a universe. Like, for instance, the Jay and Silent Bob movie, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot that came out, I think last year or the year before that still was Jay and Silent Bob, but instead of telling the story through their eyes, it was telling the story through Jay's daughter and her antics. That is a reboot. That's like a reboot, like a rethink, like new characters are being at the forefront. And it's a restart of the universe of which the original work takes place in, that's already established. The Spider-Man Homecoming is a reboot because Spider-Man Homecoming, new character, new Spider-Man, new everything about his life pretty much is different, aside from there's always going to be Mary Jane, but that's another thing, new people playing the parts. And that would be a reboot of the previous Spider-Man, which is a reboot of the previous Spider-Man. You see what I'm talking about? Now, personally, I prefer sequels, or even prequels to reboots, because I love seeing like my favorite characters go through different things. I like seeing, what was my character doing before this movie, and stuff like that. Like my analogy to Shrek earlier, I literally loved Shrek when I was little, and I was really sad because I was like, oh, there isn't going to be another Shrek movie, like it just ends here, and it didn't. Now we have all those Shrek movies. There's a Shrek ride at Universal, and I am a Floridian, so I go to Universal a lot. Not now because of, virus times, but before I would go to Universal multiple times a year. But it's just nice to have a little universe. You can even say like, I love Steven Universe, please, if you're a Steven Universe fan and you're one of the crazy ones, just leave. But I'm a Steven Universe fan. I love Steven Universe. And when Steven Universe ended, I was really, really upset. And then Steven Universe Future came out. And I was like, yes, my little world gets to be continued on into more great things. That's why I love reading series of books instead of just one book, because I like my characters that I've bonded with, that I've seen go through so many things. I like seeing them go on more adventures, you know. But yeah, I don't like having a movie or movie universe that I loved, I happen to enjoy a lot, be ruined by a film studio that doesn't care about whether or not the movie is good, cares more about, you know, making money from the now adults that watched those as they were children. So towards the end of this, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite reboots, but now we're going to talk about the worst ones and why reboots fail, okay? So, I feel like when a work of art still holds up today, like it is a classic, like Pretty in Pink, Back to the Future, you know? Like, it's really hard to make a reboot of something that is a classic, or make a reboot of something that is already so great. For example, Mean Girls. Any Mean Girls reboot is going to automatically do horrible based solely upon the fact that the movie still holds up today. People still watch Mean Girls today. People still love Mean Girls today. And it would be really hard for people to watch a reboot of that movie. Also, when there was, you know, Scream Queens, which is kind of like on that similar, like, Mean Girls kind of vibe going on, but also, speaking of Mean Girls 2 was perceived horribly because it does not capture the same spark, the same classicness as the original, which is the thing that sucks about most of these reboots and most sequels even too, is that it never holds up to the original, so people are just going to hate on it even more, you know? Another iconic movie would be Kill Bill. I think Kill Bill would make an amazing, like, anime, like, arc. Like, that would be pretty cool. But that aside, to recreate Kill Bill, to recreate another Kill Bill movie, 2 movies, actually, it would have to take a lot. It would take a lot for the movie to actually get really good reviews because Kill Bill is already such a great movie. Kill Bill is arguably one of Quentin Tarantino's best movies. So how can a film studio try to recreate that movie when the original is just so amazing and so highly praised? It's really hard to then try to make another one, and it doesn't hold the same, like, spirit as the first one, you know? I feel like when these movies and TV shows try to revive these, you know, reputable movies that are so beloved, like, so imagine you were experimenting one day in the kitchen and you were making, I don't know, some sort of pasta dish thing. And you didn't, like, write down the recipe. You kind of just were like, oh, I'm going to put a little bit here, a little bit there. And then you finished it and it tasted amazing. You were like, this is such a great pasta recipe that I've made from scratch, not writing anything down, no measurements, no nothing. And then you try to make it again. It's not going to taste as good as the first one. Not that you're not capable of making something good, because clearly you did. It's that you just don't have the same... You get what I'm trying to say here? I hope the pasta analogy made sense. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. And obviously, I want to be an actor. I don't want to piss anybody off in Hollywood because I want to be in Hollywood. But I just feel like that when you try to compare something to something that's already so great, it's really hard to match up to it, you know? Speaking of bad reboots, here are, in my opinion, some of the worst ones. It would be automatically, first thing that comes to my mind is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and solely because, look at them. Look at the character design, and you'll know why. Similarly, this is why I don't like The Jungle Book, because, well, one, the original was animated and this one isn't, but that aside, like, watching The Jungle Book, I was just like, no, you know? Because for some reason, like, watching something that was animated become not animated anymore really just feels strange. Like, it feels like it's not right. That's also why I feel like Avatar, not the Blue People, but the Last Airbender movie, why it is so bad, because it's really hard to see something that was originally animated be live action. Also, Avatar Last Airbender, one of the worst, literally I could write a paper on why that is the worst reboot to ever exist. that aside, Fantastic Four was not the best because the casting choices did not work well together. Also, Charlie's Angels just did not hit the same. Like, I know Charlie's Angels, like, I think it was a TV show in the 70s, and then the one with Drew Barrymore came out after that. But the one that came out after that, in like 2019 or 2018, that movie was so bad. Also, the fact that they're like main song with the I'm Not an Angel or Don't Call Me Angel with Ariana Grande, Lana Del Rey, and Miley Cyrus, that already says a lot. Like, Ariana Grande and Miley Cyrus can work well in songs together. They did their Happy Hippie song, like they can sing well together. But Lana Del Rey is a whole different thing, whole different genre, does not match well with Ariana Grande and Miley Cyrus, which I guess should have been telling as to how the movie was going to go too. But Charlie's Angels was just so good. Like, Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, and Lucy Liu, like that, like those movies were iconic. Have the disc, still love them, still go back and watch them all the time. That's the thing about classics. You can rewatch classics and not get tired of them, you know? But regardless, this video is about reboots and not sequels or prequels. But I feel like that there are some very, very good sequels and prequels out there, for sure. But also, in the rare case, reboots can succeed. But I feel like it's in a very certain type of way. Because see, when a reboot surpasses the actual original work, it is very strange to see. Usually what I feel like it is just that the movie doesn't try to the best reboots are the ones that don't try to replace the original, if that makes sense, you know? For example, I cannot tell you the last time that I watched the 1988 version of Hairspray, but the 2007 version, I watch that all the time. And that's because, well, I guess Hairspray is also a musical, so you can't really do bad in a musical. But I feel like that the Hairspray, the reboot, wasn't trying to replace the 1999 version. Or they could have been, it doesn't seem like it. But I feel like that it was its own personal thing. And I know people who love watching the 1999 or the 1988 version just because of how classic it is. Me, not so much. But, you know, to each their own. Another one that is really good but doesn't replace the original is It. Now, I do have a video that I'm currently doing research for. It's taken me over a month. And it's about horror movies. It should come out within the next couple weeks, if I'm lucky. Basically, I'm watching a bunch of horror movies, writing notes on them, boring stuff. But It was one of the first horror movies that I ever watched. And I specifically remember the memory, which I will tell you about in the horror movie video. But it was a great movie. Then, when the reboot came out in 2017, I was like, there's no way it's gonna be like good. And it was so good. It was so good. And it doesn't like replace the original either. Like, I can watch the original It and then I can watch the reboot of it. And they're still both very good movies. And also the sequel, It Chapter 2, is also very, very good. Yeah. Another one that I love is the Scooby-Doo 2002 movie. And specifically, do you guys remember that scene with Velma where she's walking down the stairs? Chef's kiss. That was a good movie. Cast perfectly. And I was obsessed. Another, I guess, honorable mention is Jurassic World. But I only liked it just because the CGI was so much better than what it was previously. Because if you guys watch the original Jurassic Park, you'll understand what I mean. But the reanimation, the stuff like that, that was actually pretty cool. For my examples, you can see, like, these movies don't overshadow. These movies try to make they use the universe that it's in, and they use everything that they know, and they make their own thing, you know? Which is why, like, think about this. There are 4 Jokers, and each of those Jokers are very, very good in the movies that they are in. But you can't take Heath Ledger's Joker and replace him with Jack Nicholson's Joker. The movie would go horribly in both ways. But each of the different Jokers are perfect for their specific universes, and there are people who love each of the Jokers except for Jared Leto. But even so, like Heath Ledger's Joker would not work well in Suicide Squad's Joker. He might be able to, but it wouldn't hold up the same. And that's because even though they're all different, they're all reboots, they're great in their own specific movies, their own specific worlds that they're in. You know? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to hate on anybody or any movie places, because like I said, I want to be in a movie. And honestly, like I would love to be in a reboot movie, like to be honest, even if it was horrible, just to say I could like do it, you know? But either way, what I will say is that with reboots in general, these are my final thoughts by the way, is that reboots can sometimes be very, very bad, but I still like them because it's funny. I have this weird, I have a movie about, I have a video where I talk about parody movies and why I love parody movies so much. But I just love movies that are so bad that they're good. Similarly, like I love horror movies that are so bad that they're good. In that same, breath, like imagine if they did like what I really want is like if I could be like in Clueless, but like I was Cher, like I was like the main character, that'd be pretty cool. Or like taking, I don't know, taking like typical like, or like making like Friends, but then making it like more diverse. Or even like if that 70s show did that 2000s show, oh, gold that show would be. But I think in general reboots can sometimes be bad, but they can also be very good. It is very hard to make a really, really good reboot, specifically with film critics. I feel like film critics are obviously more critical of films than audiences. Look at Rotten Tomatoes and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, so Hollywood, please stop making reboots. But if you do want to make them, please, please, please put in a lot more effort than what you are doing. Not calling out any specific studios because I do want to be employed in the future. Yeah. Either way, I hope you guys liked this video. And if you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it really does help small channels like mine, like a lot. Also, make sure to subscribe down below because my channel, if you guys want to interact with me and talk to me, you can also follow me on my socials. I have linked below in all my videos, but I do have a community tab now, and I might do like a video like with my subscribers and do like an unpopular opinions video or something like that. So if you want to be included in that, or you want to be included in any polls or any data that I use, subscribe to me and you can comment on my community page and we can talk about it. With that said, make sure to stay happy and stay healthy, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.